All right, I'm going to go over a Trello board that I use with all of my clients, whether you're a practice management or business coaching, and whether you're part of leadership or working individually, this will all work the same. So if you're not familiar with Trello, what Trello is, it's a project management board. Originally was started with software design because everything needs to be in a kind of a lane with software development. But Trello figured out how to make this more useful. And so one of the things that they did was make it so you can do anything with it. And I've been using Trello for about 15 years now, and I bring it into all the projects that I do that I need to keep track. Why? Because it keeps things organized. It's very versatile, and it's a great tool. So as you become more familiar with it and you use it more, you'll learn to love it. And I find the people that struggle with it are people who struggle with time management, task management to begin with. But the whole point of this is to make you better at it. So the more you work it, the better you get at it, and the less stress you have. There are lots of benefits from having some organizational tool like this. Now, Trello is not the only one. There are many things like Asana, ClickUp, and a few other Monday, and you can just go online and see. But I like Trello because it's simple and I'm very comfortable with it. So how this kind of works, Trello, we have a board, okay? A board can belong to a group, and you can have multiple boards for different reasons. And usually in any of our practices, we'll have a boards for the leadership, a board for operations, a board for scheduling, a board for individuals. And it goes on and on. But what I'm sharing today is the basic structure that I like to use with all boards that I start with. And so by having this basic structure, it keeps things in a nice workflow and process. So I'm going to start here. When you look at this board, there's going to be stages, okay? Within the stages, you have cards. Now, when you open up a card in here, you have multiple buttons that you can do in here, right? You can add people to it. You can create different checklists. So you can add item 1, item 2, item 3. And so here you can also assign labels on here. Right now they're all blank, but I might just change this to called urgent, and let's save it. And for this one over here, I might just say low priority, So, and you can make these whatever you want, and you can use them however you want. Now, when you get in here, you have multiple colors that you can choose from. But, just by default, they just show these ones, but you literally can have like anything that you want. So, when you click on add over here, there are many things that overlap, but also too is that you can see how you can add attachments, locations, custom fields. This is something if you have like a higher the business plan. So Trello is free. You can have up to 10 boards per work group. So if you reach that 10, you can just create another, not work group, workspace, and you can create another workspace. So, but really board, then you have these lists or stages, and then you have the cards. And within the cards, you have different other attributes or characteristics. So that's the basic structure of Trello. And what I've done over here, I'm going to go over the boards, the stages first. Items to discuss. How I use this is that whenever I get into meetings with our clients, I put things in here. So this is really the agenda. Okay. So I'm going to put in here agenda. I'm not going to keep that in there forever. I'm just putting that for now so you can see this. And so what I usually like to do is that before I get on a meeting, this is the agenda. I sort things top to bottom, right? Because you only have so much time for a meeting. You don't want to talk to someone for like 5 hours a day. So let's just say you had 15 minutes with someone and you had 5 items on here. Well, you may not get through all 5, but the goal is that to put the most important thing on the top. So for instance, maybe this set date for TMS training session is the most important. I'm just going to drag that to the top because I know that by having that conversation first, I'm having the biggest conversation or the most important conversation that needs to happen. Now, success list. This is where the things that you are actively working on, okay? A lot of times people confuse success list and to do. If you have 20, 30 tasks, you're not going to complete that all in one day. So do not put that in the success list, right? So you might even just take some of these and move these over here for now and saying, you know what, at this moment, I'm only going to focus on one thing at a time. Because even though you have these other tasks to do, you need to have a level of focus. Because if you just put all of these in here right now, and let's just say you just drop these in, you're going to feel overwhelmed, you're going to feel stressed out, and you're probably going to fail. So with that being said, I'm only going to put, maybe 2 things in there, because realistically, there's other work that you got to do, but these are important things. And you might just say, okay, well, I'm just going to do these 2 for now. That's it. So this is really more about things that you're doing today. I'm going to change this to today because that's probably more accurate. Okay. And the success list for today is all you're going to focus on today. To do is nothing you have to worry about right now. Okay. So these are the 2 separations between the success list and the to-do list. Now, once things are getting done, and especially if you have a board where you collaborate with people on, you can see that there's other people on here. I like to move things to the review, because in the review, the project's done. It's just requiring a review from someone else or maybe some feedback or something. And the other thing too is the next stage is pending issues. I like to keep a list of all the pending issues, so this way we don't forget, because sometimes you get through all your your to-do and you're like, okay, well, what should I be working on? So really you can go back and look at what's on here in these pending issues, and this list can be as long as it is. But just like everything else, all the lists needs to be in order of priority. So when you look at these lists, you should say, okay, which of these tasks are actually making causing more problems? And by solving this particular issue, how many more other problems can it solve, or how can it help multiple areas of the practice? And that's kind of how you're going to decide which issues are going to be the priority. So let's say slow response time to patient text is the most important problem, and that's something we need to think about, right? So, but when you look at this thing, slow response to text patients, there could be a multitude of variables that contribute to this, right? So, for instance, it could be the phone system is misconfigured, the staff isn't trained, or you're understaffed. There's all these things, and when you look at these issues, you're going to break them down into individual tasks, and you're going to solve them one at a time, right? The next thing over here is going to be follow-up. Follow-up is something that if you finish something in the success list or to do a task and you're waiting for someone, then what you're going to have to do from there is go ahead and leave it in here, so you know that you have to follow up. Now, nice thing about Trello is that you can set dates. So let's just say that I want to follow up on the 19th. So I know that on the 19th that I have to follow up with this thing, but sometimes you don't need it. I'm just going to click here. I'm going to hit remove, because these are things you're just going to follow up. And each day you go over here and you're going to be like, okay, where are we at with this, right? So you do you figure out what's going to work well for you. One of the lists, which I don't like to add this for every single person, but these are back burners. So there might be good ideas, but they're just not the time to do it right now, especially in this week, month, or quarter. But something that has to get done. And this is where you can keep good ideas that are just not ready or not ripe enough or not the right timing. They could just kind of live here so you don't forget, right? This vault thing over here, what this is a list where we just store information. So we have our VIP thing over here. We can put our address information, social media, the EHR information, login information, employee offboarding, contact info, things like that. So, you keep things in here that you need access to that is not really evolving, but also something that needs to be quick access to. And then when you're done, you can complete it. So these green check marks, how do you get those? Well, you might go over here and you click on complete. And then when you're done, you can just take it and you can just drag it over there. Now that's complete. So I'm just going to bring this back because this is a demo board. That's really it. So, if you want to make more lists, you can go over here and type in lists, Acme list on here. Then you can have this and you can create it. But one thing I always recommend is that try to keep things in the workflow from left to right as best as possible. Not always is it going to be able to fit exactly that. But the more that you can go left to right, the more important things should be on the left side. The less important things should be on the right side. And complete it because it's done. We don't care. Put that all the way to the right. So this way it doesn't really crowd the space of what you're trying to focus on. And I will say less is more. So, one of the things that you can do is you can just get rid of this back burner and then just keep things under pending issues, or even this review and follow-up. You potentially can just merge them. I like to keep them separated because follow-up requires action from you. Review requires actions from others. and back burner just kind of like ideas. So as you can see, this is very modular, and I think most important thing is that you just experiment, try things out, and don't feel locked in. So if you try it and after a day or a week or a month it doesn't work, then make the change. No big deal. All right. Hope this video helped. Good luck. And if you have any questions, just reach out to me directly at mike@mindpractice.app. Or if you're one of our clients, you can go ahead and book a call just by going over here, clicking on VIP office hours, click here. And then what happens is that you're going to get this link and you can go ahead and book a 15-minute call with me. And that should help. All right. Talk to you later.